as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life. Let's begin the speech. I'd like to call upon the Prime Minister. Here.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a pleasant day I bid to all members of the floor. So, debating upon today's motion, this House believes that television shows and films should depict minorities as significantly more happy than they are in real life. We from Site Government 100% support this motion under our rationale, challenging stereotypes and empowering minorities. So, as the Prime Minister from Site Government, I shall be doing three tasks. First, I shall be defining to this motion. Secondly, I shall be setting up the case from Site Government. And lastly, I will present to you one argument in order to support our stance. Without further ado, let us begin with the definition for today's motion. One phrase, the only one phrase that I would like to highlight upon is the word more happy. So, what exactly do we mean by more happy? By more happy, we mean by living in better conditions than they are in real life. Those better conditions may not necessarily pertain to wealth or material wealth alone, but also pertain to emotional happiness as well. They may be respected by other people, by the non-minorities. They may be living a better life. They may be living in better conditions than they actually are. Okay. Now that that is out of the way, another thing that I would like to focus upon is the word minorities. Minorities is everything, any minorities, gay people, people who are transgender and everything else. Race can be as well and everything else. That is what we define as minority, any form of minority. Okay. Now I move on to the burden. The burden from side government today is to prove to you how this motion proving this motion will prove beneficial to the society. Now, the stakeholders in this debate is, of course, the minorities themselves, the people who are being portrayed in these films, and lastly, the society. How will society react to having these television shows being aired? Now, in status quo, minorities are being portrayed in their stereotype. They are being portrayed according to their own stereotype, maybe Asians being nerds, maybe black people being gangsters, and everything else. It pertains to anything that is associated, that society has attached to a specific minority. It may be anything. It may be their nerdiness, maybe the love for anime and everything else. And that is what we believe is status quo. Okay. Now, before that, I would also like to say that films do not depict real life. They depict what people wishes to see. They depict which stuff that would the people would like to see. You do not watch documentaries because they depict your life. You watch reality shows which are not real at all because you feel like it entertains you. And that is the thing about TV shows and films. They are meant to entertain you, not to elaborate to you, not to explain to you the harsh, cold reality of this world. Okay, with that out of the way, let us move on to the argument that I will present to you from side government. So the first argument will come under the key phrase extending the normal film conventions. So as I have mentioned earlier, films do not depict real life. They depict an exaggerated version of something such that it makes people wishes to see the film in of itself. Filmography shows this, it's a form of art, and art does not conform to a certain convention. So why exactly? Why do these TV shows have to attach these stereotypes to these people? Why should we not extend this convention, the convention of changing up the of changing showing not the real stuff in the television shows? Why shouldn't we do so? Why shouldn't we do so for these minorities and exaggerate it and make them happy instead? Why should we not do so? This is something that uh, that we should be doing. Because why first, because it gives them a good reputation. Why? Because it enhances the confidence, it challenges the stereotype, it empowers these people, and this will be further elaborated upon by the second speaker from side government. So, and even if you say that we're trying to deceive these people into believing this, yes, that's the thing. Films and shows aren't meant to show reality. They're meant to show what people want to do. And these films and shows, although we may watch it as a fun time, as in fun for fun in spare time, they affect us. Some they make it so it is very much normal for us to extend it's very much normal for films and shows to change things up from reality. They tend to exaggerate things. They tend to make things seems worse than things are, make things seems better than they are. So why should no, so it is very much normal. So why should we not extend this normal thing into to the minority? These minorities are being portrayed in films in their stereotypes. It is very negative because it attaches to real people these stereotypes as well. This is very much not true, not a good thing. Why? Because it causes them to subconsciously attach themselves to those stereotypes as well, and and it is a good thing for us to empower these people. When we empower them, we are helping them. So we will be granting them more happiness. They will be more confident in themselves. They will begin to believe that they can be more than what they actually more than what they are being attached with. And that is why we think that extending the normal film conventions to these minorities, making them seem happier in films, is very good towards them. And I believe that is all that is all that I have to say. And with that, I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Prime Minister. I'd like to call upon the opposition leader. Here.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Right. So I will start my speech in three, two, one. As good evening to the members of the floor, educators, and timekeeper. All right. So today we are debating about the topic of this house believe that televisions and films should depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life. All right. So today I will be stating one argument, and my second speaker would be providing us with two other arguments, which is which is why we, the opposition side, are trying to oppose with to this motion, because we want to reach out to the authorities, and also we want to give because we don't want to give false hope to the minorities. All right. So before rebutting and elaborating my points, my arguments, I would like to um, agree with the definition given by the government, by the prime minister, about the definition of happy, where it actually includes a better condition, although not only wealth but also emotional and mental healthness. All right. So, uh, okay. So the prime minister have been talking about how films are actually made for entertainment purposes, and people don't actually look at documentaries because, yeah, the documentaries depicts real life and whatsoever. But um, I think that we as the opposition believe that we as the opposition believe that um, this motion to this should fall, because by portraying the truth of minorities, it can actually help the world to understand them better, to understand the world better, to understand the minorities better. All right. So the prime minister have been talking about, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, he have been talking about how it can empowers the minorities, and uh, it can actually subconsciously attack their own self if we keep on portraying this significantly and stereotypic uh, portrayal of them. But I think that it is very not likely to happen, because I think if we are actually depicting the false impression of the minorities, it can actually lead to our point, which is it can actually give false hope, and it can actually sugarcoat all of the things that are actually happening to them in your life. So moving on to my first point, which is the main reason why we don't want this television and films to depict the minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life, because we believe that it can actually because it's so that the society can see the bitter truth and the real truth that are actually happening in the real world. All right. So I think that all of us know that the films, like mentioned by the Prime Minister, are actually entertainment purposes and what's so on. But I think that we should not exaggerate it to the extent where it really not true and really very imaginative. Like it is very far from the truth that are actually happening, because I think that we as the viewers, we should know how the things, how the world actually works, and because not everybody is happy with their life, and by actually depicting this significantly stereotypic thing that the minorities are actually facing, it can actually lead them to in a way, it can actually lead them to be um, like delusional, that they are in a way they can be like that in one day. Okay, so I think that it is very opposite of what the Prime Minister is talking, where it can actually empower the minorities. We, the opposition, things believe that it can actually uh, um, make the minorities lose hope and actually become more delusional of their life, and not accepting the truth that they should be facing, and actually work towards to for them to actually to overcome the hardships that they are actually facing. They are actually laid back, and they think that, and they believe that like the films, they can actually be happy in one day they will be happy, and one day they will reach that kind of happiness without actually doing anything, like the films have been depicting and portraying for the whole movie. All right. So uh, so I think I believe that the main issue that we are actually trying to portray in this today's debate is because televisions and films are portraying lies to the public, and it should actually stop. Although it is for entertainment purposes, I think we as the government team believe that it should not be too far from the truth, and it should actually be believable and more logical, rather than the typical and stereotypic portrayal of the minorities. All right. So let me repeat our stance, which is we as the government team, I'm sorry, we as the opposition teams believe that um, the television and films should not depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life, because by portraying the truth by portraying the truth of minorities, it can help the world to understand them better, and understand what they are going through, and relate with them more in real life. So with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you, opposition leader. Let's resume the debate by inviting the Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
Okay. Greetings to the educator, the timekeeper, and the members of the floor. So before I started, we as the government would like to emphasize that our status quo is to challenge the stereotype and to empower the minority by belief that this house should portray the minorities in television and shows much more fulfilled and happy in their life. So the opposition said that um, the television show did not portray the minority. They portray the minority by having lies to public. Like, I mean, most of the movie, including minorities, is lies, and should stop because it is not real and should and it means that the public try to sugarcoating the truth. But however, there are some minority that actually do happy with their life, such as like there are peoples with let's say minority in races, I mean black people being happy and not that dangerous, or Asian that are not all nerds. So they do can actually extend that stereotype by not falling into the TV shows. So there are two arguments that I would like to say about that. Is because the first is we support this motion to empower the minority, and the second argument is to challenge the stereotype. So for my first argument, which is the empower the minority, I mean, most of the movies that we choose to watch is because we wanted to feel happy. We wanted to actually want to believe that there are chance for us. Like, even so, that is why we
Your eye,
wanted to
please.
show that even not yet. So that is why that we sometimes we watch the movie that actually have happy and happy ending and happy storyline. So,
Your eye,
but
please.
however, yes,
Do you watch Squid Game?
wait, no, unfortunately, I did not watch Squid Game. Sorry. So, okay. So, like I was saying, okay. So some people, some movies that are actually have happy ending and happy storyline are mostly the majority. So we wanted to put the minority in this and to like breaking the stereotype. We wanted to make them happy too, because most of the movie that we watch, most of the minorities have bad endings, like they die or they are not significantly important in that storyline. So yeah, that's that. And okay, let's say for my second argument, which is the challenging stereotype, um some minority in this world, in this country, especially since I think I could say that women actually one of the minorities, since like if you watch the movies, most of the women only play like the housewife, like only the backup character. So yeah, that is actually. And when have you ever saw like some movies like where the woman is the lead actor, like the Ocean 8, um the Hawkeye? I mean, that there's a woman being the lead there. So when there's a minority actually giving trying to break the stereotype, we actually give chances of other people to feel inspired that they could actually do that too. So that is what we are trying to propose in this motion. And e- even if so we are changing the minorities, and when we actually put more minorities character in some television, it could actually broaden the audience, and more audience that actually feel close into that certain character, they would actually drawn to the movie, and they would feel more inspired, and they would actually believe that they could achieve things in their life even though they are minorities. And that is why we want, that is one thing that we want to achieve, is to change the perception of everybody, like just not just in minorities but also the majority who believe that these certain people act this way, these certain people act this way. So we want to change that, and we wanted to show that the minorities could change that too. They could change if they want. And that is what we are trying to inspire people by supporting this motion. And apart from that, we also know that some minorities actors, they do not get the character that they wanted, just because they are bounded to play some stereotype character, like an Indian character only could play as the Bollywood stars, or just maybe the principal or the clerk in the story. So if we could change that stereotype, so we could actually give the actor in the minorities section more scope in their job. So yeah, I think with that being said, I raise my case.
Can I start now?
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
Oh, did you call for me? Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, sorry.
Okay. uh, I will start my speech in three, two, one. Good evening to fellow educators and also members of the floor. Today, this motion is we as the opposition side oppose the motion, which is this House believe that the television should television shows and film should depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are really in real life. Before I go to my rebuttals and also recap of my point of my opposition summaries, I would like to state our stance, which is we as the opposition side believe that by portraying the truth of minority, it can help the world to understand them better. So first, I would like to rebut some of the point from the Prime Minister. The first one is when he said that uh, the government side failed to say that how does giving them to depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life can actually solve the problem of themselves. Like for example, the LGBTs or the transgender, how does that going to happen? How is that going to solve the problem? Because they were likely to be oppressed right now. We all know the issues right now, the LGBTs and the transgender being oppressed, and people don't really accept how the way they actually be right now. So why do you think when we actually portrayed when the prime minister said that television portrayed their stereotype of black people, specific minorities, and also um, uh, because people choose what they want to see and the harsh cruel reality to the world. Why do we need to portray that? Okay, the first one. Why do you think the activists actually there at the first place? Why do they defend the cases of the minorities? Why are they thinking about that? Because when we actually expose to the people about happy ending, about the happy life of, let's say, the LGBTs, they are having a happy life where people don't even where they live happily with them. The races didn't happen, but the real world react differently with the movie itself. When they actually a lot of people don't really know how the real world, but let's say for black people, when they watch the television, they see that the white people actually can cope with them, that can actually communicate with them. But when they actually face in real world, they can't even, I mean, like, they were being oppressed. And then the next thing is, when they were it can actually empower people to become more confident. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? When we actually portray the good things in the movie, it can actually empower the confidence. Maybe it can empower the confidence, but when they actually face in the real, when they actually went out and meeting the real person in the real life, do they think they will actually have that confidence again? I mean, like, will the confidence stay long in their self? I mean, they could actually become more pressured when they actually uh, had to face this bitter truth.
Right.
And then, not yet, please. Another thing is when it can actually broaden the audience, that it can make the people to feel inspired and achieve their life even though they were minorities. What do you mean by they can achieve their life even though they are minorities? What do you mean by it can get the people inspired? If they've been portrayed a good things, they keep continuously portray the good things, how do people actually get inspired? Maybe you will say that the people that give uh when they give talk, like something like that. But when, like I said before, when they actually face the real life, they will more tend to feel pressured, and they will make themselves feel small in public itself. So moving on to the point.
Right.
First is, not yet, please. It can help to reach out the authorities. When we actually portrayed the things, like the bad things, the hardship that have going through the minorities itself, it can actually help the authorities to be more to seek for them help. Like, they can actually find this, let's say, they need help, so they have to give some helps. And when 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 they saw the people in help, the authorities can maybe defend themselves, defend them rights, giving them more rights than just, if you give the happy ending, do you think the authorities will actually find that thing? I mean, they can only see the sugar coat of the film itself. And then another point is when it can actually give false hope to the minorities, when we actually give them a lot of sugar coat, when we actually portrays a lot of lies to the public. When the, let's say, the children itself being being in the house and don't even go to school, but nobody actually, let's say for a woman itself, when they actually being oppressed and they can't really go to school. And when they saw in the movie, maybe they can see that, oh, maybe the woman can go to school, but suddenly, like, when they actually face the real life, the parent don't even let them to go to school. So it is actually giving them a false hope, because it can
Right.
actually, yes, please.
You keep on focusing on discrimination, oppression, and racism, and I think we can agree that if we are making a documentary about something that's happening in real world, let's say the Syrian civil war, we should portray that as accurately as possible. But here is the question: should we depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled as they are in real life in television shows and films? It's not just about discrimination or oppression, is it?
Exactly. Okay, so basically, it is true that in documentary there's a lot of things are in ongoing, and film and documentary is a different thing, and you can differentiate. But like your side talked before, that is there a lot of people are watching the documentary itself. A lot of people are trying to find. A lot of people enjoy more watching film, and if we don't portray this thing in film, do you think the people will realize this thing? No, right? So we from the opposition sides truly oppose this motion, which is this House believe that the television shows and films should depict the minority oppose the motion, which is this House believe that television shows and films should depict minorities as significantly more happily and fulfilled than they are in real life. And before that, I would like to, before I end my speech, I would like to restate our stance, which is by portraying the truth of minority, it can actually help the world to understand them better. With that, I end my speech. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deputy Operational Leader. I'd like to call upon the government whip. Here.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's been a tiring day, I assume. So let's just get straight into the topic, right? I think what the opposition is trying to do, what we see the opposition trying to do, is they're trying to limit the scope to a very, very narrow corner. Here's the main problem with this entire debate. We are talking about television shows and films, an art form, right? No one expects television shows and films to be entirely accurate, right? So here's what the opposition has said. Firstly, they don't want to give false hope to the minorities. False hope? Are you telling me? Okay, how about let's talk about stereotypes. There probably are stereotypes that let's say Malays are lazy. Do you think, are you trying to say that by portraying Malays as not lazy, as people who are hardworking and disciplined, that gives them false hope and therefore would not encourage them to pursue that goal? I don't really understand what you're trying to say here. It's rather incoherent. And yeah, by portraying minorities, this is what the opposition has said, by portraying minorities in real life circumstances, we are helping the world understand them. You know what? I agree with that. When we are talking about making documentaries and films that are trying to have a certain message, that's what is necessary, the truth. But here is what we are debating today. We are saying that television shows and films should depict minorities. We're not saying that necessarily in all cases we can't have accurate things. We can't have films that depict them significantly a lot worse than they are. We just say that they could, right? So I don't see the point. Accurate films can entirely coexist with films like what we are recommending. So what are you arguing for, right? And the opposition has also said that authorities can help them after seeing these accurate films. Again, I will refer back to what I've just said. Accurate films have their purpose, but also we should not have all films be, standard documentary films covering a certain topic and as accurately as possible, right? Television, films, and shows is an art form. Film is an art. Why should we limit the roles of minorities to a certain small group of possibilities? So here's what we are saying. Number one, we are saying that we are just extending what is normal in the rest of the film industry to the world, right? When we watch an American film, we can expect to see all sorts of roles, from horror films to sci-fi films. These majority population actors can act in anything, right? They can take on any roles. But when you see an Arab, when you see a Muslim, is it a terrorist, or German, or Nazi, or maybe an Indian, we see Bollywood, we see dancing, we see, you see Japan, it's anime, it's kawaii culture. Why should we limit minorities to such roles, right? Why should we always, we can, as films like Crazy Rich Asians, films like Black Panther, they empower people, right? They empower people not by showing them what is the status quo, but they show what is possible, what is, they show a significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life, right? Why should we limit the roles of minorities to what we think the stereotypes are? That's the first point. Secondly, we are empowering people by showing them not just what they are right now, but what they could be, right? What they could be in the future. That's not giving them false hope. That's showing them what's possible. By showing someone what is possible, you don't say that you don't have to work hard for it, right? I don't really understand that point, really. And finally, we're challenging stereotypes in the minds of people who hold such stereotypes. For example, in the majority population, by saying that, now an Arab can be a leading figure. Like, for example, in Aladdin, right? The leading main actor was an Egyptian man, right? Why should we That's it. Look, an Egyptian guy can be a leading actor in a major film. So this is challenging stereotypes. In Crazy Rich Asians, Asians can be rich, Asian can be stupid, right? Well, they don't necessarily have to be nerds and kung fu all day. It's challenging stereotypes and showing what's possible. Is this art? Anything is possible, and we should use art to its advantage. Really, why should we limit ourselves? Yes, I agree with you that sometimes it's good to be accurate, especially in documentaries. I've watched a documentary on the Syrian civil war, right? That's a good documentary, and it shows what's happening. It might not be entirely true, but it shows what's happening, and that helps people learn, right? And yeah, there are times when that's good. But again, we're talking about television shows and films, and I've just given you multiple points, and I hope you can consider what we have just presented to you. The opposition has not really given any coherent points, and yeah, and that's all I can say. But let me just give a chance to the second speaker of the opposition. What did you want to ask about Squid Game? Hello?
I'm sorry. Squid Game.
Yeah. You had a POI about Squid Game to the second speaker, right? Let's see what you have.
Say it.
In the Squid Game, the minorities have been portraying about the sorry. What was the
They're being portrayed in a negative light. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's entirely my point. In film, everything is possible. We can show them being significantly more happy, and we can show them being a lot worse. That's allowed. That is possible and should happen, right? That's our point. And with that, I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Government Whip. I'd like to call upon the opposition whip. Here. Oh yeah, and another thing, if possible, try to use remote examples, lah. Instead of referring to our own brothers and sisters, it would be better. I'm not going to penalize, but I hope we could improve this. All right, go on.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good evening. I beg to the adjudicators, the timekeepers, the members of the floor, ladies and gentlemen. So today's motion is about the House belief that television shows and film should depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life. So we, as the opposition sides, truly disagree with this motion. As aligned with our stand, by portraying the truth, it can help the world to understand the minorities better. So I would like to rebut the points coming from the government side. The first speaker have said that they are trying to depict the more happy and fulfilled minorities in the film because they want to extend the norm of the film conventional, and they keep saying about the film is the kind of arts and doesn't and it's okay to be what you call that not the truth, but we know that TV shows and art, but the art shouldn't go too far from the truth because people's believe what they see. They and not a lot of people are watching documentaries, so believe what they see in their TVs and the films. And I don't really understand how by showing that they are happy in the TV and films are going to empower the people. Like you are showing that they are all right, they are fine, while they don't, well, they are suffer. And people will think the minorities are fine and have a better life, and they don't need help, or they don't need attention, or they don't need any source of help or a platform to speak up or anything. So it actually give the wrong perception of the minorities to the peoples, because people believe in what they see. And next, they say that people choose what they want to watch, and they only want to watch the happy ending. But uh, not all film that have happy ending, not all great film have happy ending. Even the Squid Game have the a sad ending, and like suddenly they broke the friendship. The lots of people are die. So this shows that even a sad ending still can show the can make the film as great as the other happy ending film. So even we show that they are not happy, it still make a great success to that film industry, because even we are the Squid Game show the truth, the suffers of the poor people that have tons and millions of loans and debt, but they still show how much they are suffer, and it still be a one of the greatest series in the Netflix. And they said that by showing the happy life and the fulfilled minorities character, it's actually changed the perception of people. Yes, it changed the perception of the people, but it's make people think they are fine. They are fine. They don't have problem with the world. So people will think that, oh, these minorities are fine, so we can just go on with their life, while the minorities are actually are in need of help, or the other thing. And next, I would like to summarize our points that if we want to show, we are trying to portray the truth, because we want the societies to know the bitter truth, rather than the sugar coated lie. Because as I said before, people believe in what they see. Not all people watch documentary. People are what most likely people will watch television film and television shows, film and series, because it's fun to watch. But and this shows that television shows and film and media are one of the biggest role that enhance the society perception. So this is why we need to take advantages of this big role to make people know the truth of the minorities, instead of just showing they are happy and they are fine. And next, we would like to we want to show the truth, because we want it will make the authorities reach out to the minorities, because they saw in that in the film, so they know the condition are at stake, and they will likely most likely help them in the way the minorities need. And the false hope to the minorities is actually make the it's actually the false hope is the minorities point of view, because like my second speaker said that the minorities will compare their self with with his or her character in that particular film. So they will compare, oh, the character in this film can go to education, can are happy, don't have the problem as I have, doesn't face the discrimination. So when they are comparing themselves with that, they will try to make it, but this cruel world won't make them to do as they saw in the film. So how can it possible? How can the minorities are possible to do what they want and what they saw in the live the I'm sorry, the TV shows and the film, while all lots of people are against them. With that, I would like to restate our stance that we believe that these motions are false, because by portraying the truth, it can help the world to understand the minorities better. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, opposition whip. Let's invite the last speaker from opposition bench to deliver their reply speech. Hear, here.
Am I audible?
Speak again.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
All right. So I will start my speech in three, two, one. Okay. Good evening, everyone. So we have come to the end of our debate today. All right. So we have been debating today. We have been debating about the motion which goes. This house believe that television and film should depict minorities as significantly more happy and fulfilled than they are in real life. All right. So we, as the opposition side, truly disagree with this motion, and we believe that it should fall. All right. So okay. So the best case scenario that happen if we win this today's motion is the world can understand the minorities better, which align with our stance. All right. So we as the government, I'm sorry, we as the opposition team believes that we should actually have the minority should actually have a platform for them to show what they are facing to the real world. This rather than the sugar coated things, the lie that have been told about in the films and what so on. All right. So the worst case scenario that are going to happen if we fail to if to this motion stands is people will not realize the minorities presence and hardship that they are actually facing, and nobody would reach out to them for any help, like my second speaker has the point of my second speaker. All right, so the government, I think that I would have one question is that how does giving the minorities more significant and happy role actually solve and help the problems that that they are actually facing? I don't understand. How does it actually help, in what way? All right, so I would like to recap some of the points given by us. So, so the first point that we have given is that um, the main reason we want these motions today to fall is that we want the society to see the truth and the real things that are actually happening to the minorities. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I think that it is crucial for the people to know what are actually happening instead of what are the films are actually portraying. Because, all right, I understand that the governments have been talking about how the films are actually made for entertainment, and we are actually looking and where the bitter truth and all the not sugar-coated things should be portrayed in the documentary and what so on. But we, like my second speaker, we have been talking about how actually the film I mean the documentaries are not we know that the documentaries are only portraying the facts and the main thing that are actually the real thing that are actually happening. But in the film we can actually sugarcoat a bit of the things, but like I mentioned earlier, we don't want that to be too far from the truth, and have the minorities to actually have delusionals that they are actually they can actually achieve what the films are actually portraying, and in a way it can give them false hope. So and also we want to reach out, we want the minorities to reach up to the authorities. So I would like to repeat our stance, which is we believe that by portraying the truth of the minorities, it can help the world to understand the minorities better, and reach out their hands to help them to for a better future. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, opposition reply speech. Now let's close the debate with the government reply speech. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again in the reply speech session. We have looked through the eyes of the eagle, we have looked through the eyes of a bird. Now let's take a look at this debate from the eye of a hawk. Okay, so the flaws inside opposition today is that they focus too much upon discrimination and racism. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more to it. There's also the stereotype regarding the attitude of people, and these films are portraying them in that exact manner. So when they say that, they're saying that we are trying to give them false hope. That's not the thing. How can people have false hope regarding attitude? This is something that the third speaker of our side has thoroughly debunked about, and should not be taken into consideration at all. Now, they also try to squirrel away by trying to say not too far away from reality, but how much is not too far away from reality? This is something not explained at all. And how will not making it subtle in a show that you watch for leisure going to be impactful towards you? And that's the thing here. We need to make it exaggerated so people know, so people understand and like it so much. And that's all for the flaws. Now we move on to the clashes. So side opposition today has presented several things. So they're talking about false hope, they talk about people in denial, they talk about people real truth. Now this is debunked by one point from our side. We'll talk about how it empowers people. Now here's the thing, people. What we from side government wishes to do is to empower these minorities, trying to sever away these stereotypes that's been seriously attached to these minorities. What we're doing by doing so, we're empowering them. We're making them feel better about themselves. Giving them even more confidence, such that they will be able to improve upon themselves. Next, they also talk about how it gives the wrong impression about minorities. Now, that's the thing. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to challenge these stereotypes. We're trying to make people better. We're trying to divert them, stop people from thinking of them as a certain group that deserves to be bullied, trying to stop people from thinking of Malays as people who are lazy and everything else. That is what we from side government wishes to achieve. Now, let us take a look at our points, what we have brought to the table. We have brought to you first as to how it is not problematic at all for them to depict minorities as significantly more happy. What we have shown to you is because art, filmography is a form of art, and it should not be restricted into these cliché, these stereotypes, which focuses on minor roles and everything else. That's the thing. And then we also presented to you as to how it empowers people. It makes them feel better. It makes them strive to improve themselves. It makes them feel more confident about themselves. And why is this? This is because they see that in the films that they look up to so much, they are being portrayed in a very good way. In these films that goes blockbuster, in these films that so many people watch, so many people praise for, they'll be portrayed in a very good light in those films, and that is a very good thing. Last but not least, it's about challenging stereotypes. When we challenge these stereotypes, we're making them feel better. We're trying to have them strip away those stereotypes that society has imposed upon themselves. We're trying to get them to be more reactive, be more proactive, try to improve yourself. You see that in this film, so many people respect you. You are a diligent person, you are a very good person, you are respected by the people around, and you, as a minority, can do that as well, as we can see from this film, which have been critically acclaimed, maybe. And this is a very good thing, and this is what side government wishes to achieve. Now let's take a look at the stakeholders. The stakeholders in this debate, as I mentioned earlier, are the minorities as well as the society themselves. What about the minorities? So the minorities are empowered, and while in their world, these stereotypes are stuck to these minorities, and that changes nothing. At the end of the day, let us all vote for the side that wishes for change, the side that wishes to empower and to make a better world. That is all from me. Vote for side government. Thank you.
All right. that concludes our debate for today. I've I've etched both of this team previously, right? Yusim and Yukia. Yeah, I met you guys somewhere, right? Previously.
Yeah.
I couldn't say much, but one thing I can assure is both teams did better than the previous round. So great job. Keep it up. Hopefully both of you can make it to the quarterfinals. Alright. All the best. Have good rest. See you all again tomorrow. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you